everybody, it's Kyle, coming to you live from my car on the way home on a Monday afternoon. Got a whole mess of school, meet the teacher, meet the parent type things tonight. The lovely Mrs. is currently at the 6th grade one for my daughter, and we will go together tonight to the 8th grade one for my son. That one takes a whopping 2 hours. Oh, man. So, there you go. That's my exciting Monday night. So thrilling. It is kind of interesting, though. I'll be curious to see what it's going to look like in his broadcast class. He was very excited to get into that. So I'll be curious to see what they're going to be doing in there and how that's going to go. Definitely of a lot of interest to me. Things that are bugging me. What's bugging me? Well, there was no shooting this weekend, as far as I know. It was kind of a deadly weekend in the Kansas City area, from my understanding. I think we even had some knuckleheads that were shooting at a cop while they were driving and chasing them. But as far as mass shootings in public areas, there were none. However, there was a threat of one to be carried out at a Kansas City area Walmart store. I believe it was left on Reddit or something like that. Said the person's name and all that. Almost sounds like a swatting scenario where someone else is trying to get this guy in trouble. But it never happened, as far as I know. It just kind of got around on the internet a little bit, and I know we talked about it a little bit in the chat group. But obviously none of us got shot and there was no shooting, so we got that going for us. But while we're on the subject here, let's talk about something that is bothering me. If you've listened at all, you know that I'm a pretty liberal guy. I'm pretty open, let everybody be who they are, do what they want, as long as they're not hurting anybody. I really don't care. In most respects, it's kind of how I feel. When it starts hurting other people or stuff like that, that's a different ball game. But I don't think being gay or Muslim really is going to hurt people. I think that's a bunch of bullshit about Muslims wanting to kill all Christians or whatever. But anyway, regardless. So there was a film that was coming out. I'd actually seen the trailer for this film before. It looked pretty interesting, actually. My wife and I watched the show Glow on Netflix, which, by the way, season 3 is available to watch, but more on that later. But there's a woman in it that she's a really good actress. And she is in this new film called The Hunt. And, it looked pretty interesting. It was more of a The Most Dangerous Game type of story, it looked like. It looked like these people were just rounded up and captured and then dropped in the middle of this area. It looked like it was out in the country somewhere, something like that. Turns out that may or may not be true. Anyway, people were hunting them to try and kill them. They kind of picked the wrong people this time, though. So I had seen that trailer, and I was like, yeah, that looks pretty good. I showed my wife. We both watched it. We're like, yeah, that looks cool, man. And anyway, apparently, the whole idea behind the film, and you could never tell this from the trailer, but apparently when you see the film in the opening credits or in the text crawl or whatever, the narration, the whole idea behind it is that these are elite liberals who are capturing people they call deplorables and then hunting them. Man, when I heard that, I was like, what the fuck? Because I definitely never saw anything like that. It never said anything like that in the trailer. So that was pretty surprising to hear that. But Universal Pictures has pulled that film. They've completely pulled it. I don't know if there's more in the film that has, I don't know what you have to use that terminology. Elite liberals and deplorables. It's a bunch of bullshit, man. It's rich people hunting poor people, They don't have to be liberal. There's elite conservatives as well, And usually in films, that's kind of what it's always been, right? That's what it seems like anyway. As far as deplorable, I don't know, man. I would imagine all rich people think anyone who's not rich is pretty deplorable. I know that was a term that I bet Hillary Clinton wishes she could take back during the 2016 election. Anyway, but I mean, just using that terminology alone and stating it as such and all that ended up costing you guys however many tens of millions of dollars it cost to make this fucking movie. And on top of that, it's just stupid, man. There does not need to be a political agenda in films, okay? Social agendas, I kind of get sometimes. I mean, I know there's lots of social agendas pushed in films right now with homosexuality and, transsexual, transvestite type scenarios. And I get that. And, acceptance is a huge thing. However, or really strong females, that's another kind of agenda or social agenda that's pushed in films right now. And that's great. I think, there's a lot of catching up to do in all those departments. Same with African American people or other minorities, or Muslims, So I get all those things. Now, when it comes to politics, though, I don't understand it. I really don't. I mean, come on, Hollywood. What the fuck, man? I know there's always been a little bit of it. Like, I know for a fact that I think it was Revenge of the Sith. When Anakin starts going bad, he says, "If you're not with me, then you're against me," which is kind of mirroring something that George W. Bush said when he was in office. So I don't know if that was by accident or what, but it definitely didn't seem like it. And I know I've seen other things in films and in TV and stuff that kind of mimics what's going on, and it can be, somewhat political. I don't really agree with it, man. I mean, I'll be honest with you, not right now, for sure. The way things are right now and all the ire and anger and rage and shit that it seems like Americans have towards each other, I would say, fuck, throw that shit to the curb, man. Do not put anything like that in your films at all. And I think it also had to do with a little bit with timing, because there were the shootings last weekend with the nightclub, and then of course in El Paso, Texas, the Walmart there, where the gentleman has, I say gentleman very loosely, but where he definitely did spout off a lot of white supremacist rhetoric, including the fact that he says he did target Hispanic or Mexican people. Yeah, probably not the best time to come out with a movie about hunting humans, because it's kind of going on already. But probably still could have skated by, but you had to use the terminology elite liberals and deplorables, didn't you, you dumb shits? So anyway, the movie's not going to be released. I'm sure it will drop around, on for download or pay-per-view, or maybe even like just straight to Netflix or something like that at some point. But for right now, it's been pulled. So pretty interesting, pretty wild, man. I guess I would say it doesn't matter. First of all, you don't have to be on a side. I'll say that. I was going to say no matter which side you're on, but you know what? You don't have to be on either side. You don't have to be on any side. You can just be for what you believe is right, and what you think is best for our country and stuff, and that's fine. Keep in mind that it has to be for our country, not just for you and your tight-knit small group of people, whether that be people who are ultra-Christian, or people who are ultra-white, or people who are ultra-black, or, whatever. We're talking about for our country. That means all citizens of our country. So, anyway. Sweet, man. Here comes a bunch of fire trucks and police or something or other. Hopefully it's going away from me, so I want to try and get home. Anyway, kick that shit to the curb, and let's keep it out of our entertainment, please, because I'll be honest with you, man, I see enough of this horse shit every day and every night in the news, and reading it on the internet and stuff, and how much all of this stuff is broken up. Friends and families and stuff like that, that I really don't want to go see that in my movies, man. Movies are to escape. And, you know, sometimes I look, documentaries I get, and that's different. But, you know, a fictional scenario where people are taking people and then putting them somewhere and then hunting them like, you know, wild game, that's different. And when you throw that political twist on it, it's pretty fucking stupid, isn't it? You sure ended up with your pants down and you lost a lot of money, didn't you? Yeah. All right, so what else is going on? What am I into right now? Well, I bought my It tickets for Mikey and I to go see part 2 of It. They're calling it It Ends, or I know it was It Part 2 eventually, or originally, but I think it's called It Ends now, or whatever. It's It Part 2. It's the other half of It. Too big to make one movie. But this is a pretty damn long movie. It's 2 hours and 49 minutes from what I see. So that'll be interesting. But we're going the Thursday before it drops in the theaters. Pretty excited about it. Should be pretty fun. I'm curious to see how much they did keep intact from the book. It'll be slick to see. I can't wait. We also my wife and I started watching The Boys on Amazon Prime. Hey, here's something about Amazon Prime that's a little bit different from Netflix, especially when it comes to TV shows. These shows are completed. These shows are edited well. And a lot of Netflix TV shows are too, but I talked a little bit about that with movies, and I'll bring that up again in a minute, because I did take my daughter also to see Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. We were going to go as a family, but my son went on a double date the day before. My wife didn't really want to see it, so I took my daughter and we went and saw it. And I'll give it a solid meh. It was just okay. It really was not very great at all. It seemed like a lot of shit was tacked on. You know, the surrounding story to it, like the story that encompasses all the other little stories, was pretty weak. Not really sure why it was a period piece for 1968. I don't know. It was a pretty awkward, odd film altogether. I had some parts of it that I really enjoyed. I think the monsters and stuff in it, and some of the creatures, were pretty incredible. But the the general story and the whole idea of, I don't know, it was kind of weak, man. Didn't care for it. So once again, not well put together, not well edited. There's specifically a part where one guy's, you know, it's almost like an afterthought. Like, we've been watching the movie like a half hour or more, and one guy goes, I hope I don't have that dream. I've been having that dream again about being in the red room with the fat lady chasing me. And then, you know, a couple minutes later, he's in that scenario. So, obviously, they forgot to plant the seeds, or they cut out some seeds prior to that in the storyline, which led you up to that point, and they just kind of had to tack it in there. But anyway, it came off like a fart in church. It was not very good, and it just was not. I don't know. It wasn't a well-constructed film. It wasn't well thought out, which is hard to say because it's Guillermo del Toro, I believe, wrote the script. So I don't know. Pretty interesting, but again, the monsters and stuff. If those are books you like, and you like those stories, and you want to see what the monsters look like realized, that'd be a reason to see it. But yeah, it's just not very good at all. Sorry. All right, getting back to The Boys. So my wife and I started watching The Boys. At first, I was a little worried about it. Now, I read the first 3 or 4 issues or so when that comic came out. I believe it's a Dynamite Comics comic. But I read the first few issues, you know, so I knew a little bit about it. I knew the general gist. And boy, when they said they were making it into live action, and then I started seeing the trailers, I'm like, oh boy. You know, they're just focusing on trying to shock the shit out of people that are watching this. You know, they're trying to come along and copy a little bit off of like Deadpool, and make it extra super ultra violent and freak people out. And it does have those aspects to it, but there's a lot more to this story than that. I know they're already filming the second season, so I'll be excited to see that as well. But we're still watching. I think we're 3 or 4 episodes in and really dig it. I mean, my wife loves it too. It's really well made and well acted and just an interesting idea and an interesting story. So check that out if you get a chance. Let's see. The other thing that we watched. Oh, Glow season 3 came out on Netflix, and that's always been a great show and well made. So I'll be curious to see what season 3 is like, but I'm afraid it's going to have to kind of sit in a holding pattern until we're done with The Boys. Let's see. I can't think of much else, guys. I know that I've been following some of these top 10 lists a buddy of mine has done through Facebook and other deals, but he Weirded Wonder is the podcast network that they're on, but there's a top 10 listing that's going around that he's kind of started up, and it's been pretty interesting. But out of that, we had to choose for one of them that was top 10 lists of songs from soundtracks, that were made for soundtracks of 80s movies. And so it went through a bunch of them. Of course, Prince is going to be in there a lot. But there were a few in there that I really dig a lot, that I think are big. And it's funny because I thought I had a pretty tight list, and I like it still. But reading other people's lists too, it's like, whoa, yeah, I forgot about that song. Oh, yeah, that song, So came along one song that I hadn't listened to in forever, and that is Buffalo Stance by Nena Cherry. And I've been listening to that song a lot since then. I forgot about that tune, and I remember hearing that song quite a bit back in the day, and I knew somebody who would just play that shit on repeat. But it's a great song. If you haven't listened to it in a while, go check it out. And the music video is pretty great too. I especially love the two women dancing in the background, the backup dancers. That's pretty fun. But check that out. If you haven't heard Buffalo Stance in a while, check it out. It really is pretty much her only big song. She has other songs, obviously. But check that out. But that's about it, man. I haven't really been listening to too much new. Still waiting for some new stuff to come out. There's just really not much coming out right now that I'm interested in. That's about it, guys. I really don't have a whole lot this week. Again, I'm very thankful. Nobody was shot and killed in a mass shooting this last weekend. But be careful out there. Be safe, everybody, because it's pretty scary. I mean, we shouldn't have to live this way. That's all I'll say about it. Doesn't matter what your Second Amendment beliefs are or whatever. I really don't give a shit. We shouldn't have to live this way. All right. That's about it. Until next time, get off my lawn.